Well, the Electoral Commission of Zambia has suspended the counting of results in the presidential elections. It says the decision has been taken to allow more results to come in and to avoid speculation as people are still voting. Zambia entered a second day of voting today due to heavy rains. The voter turnout has been low and the Commission estimates that just above 33% of the electorate has voted. Well, our contributing political editor, that's Vuyo Mvoko, is in Lusaka and we're live to him now. Good afternoon, Vuyo. Are you with us?
Yes, I am indeed with you.
Vuyo, how are the numbers looking for now?
Well, the Zambia Electoral Commission told us a couple of hours ago that it had decided to stop releasing any results, to stop releasing tally, to stop releasing any information related to the voting because of the 51 polling stations that still hadn't voted. The explanation was that if you do that, and then you may just influence negatively perhaps the outcome of the election. Parties are not happy with that decision. They kept on pleading with the commission at that briefing to actually change its decision, but the commission is adamant that the decision it has taken is a very correct one. Cash?
It does look all quiet behind you there now, Vuyo. How visible is security in and around the National Election Results Centre?
Well, it may be quiet now, but it wasn't quiet earlier on. Outside at the gates of this center where the results center is housed, there were supporters of one of the leading candidates, Mr. Hichilema, who were outside singing, very unhappy with the decision, but also raising other issues. He also arrived and spoke to them. He did register. We were there, as our viewers will see later on in the packages that we'll be sending through. He did arrive, he spoke to them, and he was with them. He was speaking their language, registering his concerns and grievances and protests, and he walked in. In fact, before then, he had walked in and spoke to journalists, and when he spoke to us, he was again registering his unhappiness. So he's a very unhappy man, but he has formally registered his complaints. The IEC said it had looked into them, but so far it hasn't found any evidence of wrongdoing on anyone's part. The delays are because of the weather, and there is nothing that is humanly possible that hasn't been done. Cash?
HH was hoping very hard that Suburbia would come out in support of him. It doesn't seem to be the case right now. Reports of intimidation and irregularities emerging. What can you tell us? Are these isolated pockets of these incidents or more widespread than this?
Well, there were pockets of intimidation between especially the main sort of rival parties, but there were few and far between because from what, but the interesting thing was that when the commission was addressing that briefing a little earlier on, the chairperson was quite vocal on this issue, because the more parties started registering their concerns and asking the commission to change its decision, that's when she really came out quite forcefully and vocally and saying to them, listen, stop this, because in reality it's you two leading contenders, and your supporters that are giving us problems. If you were to sit down, keep quiet and wait for the commission to run this process the way it is supposed to be running it, Zambians wouldn't be having the problems you are now suggesting are going to be as a result of what we have done. So the commission is quite confident that it is doing the right thing, and the incidents of violence that were there, that everyone has admitted to, were not so huge, and they were not as violent really as, in fact, so as to put a damper in this election. But the chairperson of the commission did say that if the parties continued to behave the way they were doing, the leaders especially, which she says are releasing results that they are not supposed to release. Remember, parties, at every polling station, there are party agents. So those party agents, once the counting is done, they do have access to how many votes, how many people voted there and which party won. So that information is indeed out. But what they are not supposed to do is to release that information to the public. And apparently parties have been doing that, and the commission is very unhappy. So violence really is the least of everyone's problem. But the issue that is being raised is that if the commission, according to the parties, if the commission doesn't release the results, then there's going to be violence. Obviously, the commission has a different view. Cash?
Vuyo, Zambians have braved the bad weather. They have come out to make their mark. What are the expectations of ordinary Zambians? What would they like to see change in their country after these elections?
Well, if you, spoke to Zambians before this poll, you would have been convinced that indeed they were going to make use of this particular poll, and that they were looking forward to registering on that point, because they were raising all like the issues of jobs. It's a big issue here. They were raising the issue of like poverty and inequality. Those are big issues here. Education is indeed a big issue, and so is health. Now, if you had listened to them before this poll, you would have thought that they would have registered that point by coming out in large numbers. But when you hear what the commission told us today, that on average you're looking at a 33.7% turnout, and where you have very high turnouts, no one reached the 50% mark, then you begin to wonder whether indeed they were as committed to this poll as they claimed.
Vuyo Mvoko, thank you for your time on the PM News Desk. He is our contributing political editor, coming to us from Lusaka in Zambia.